like the haircut. I made an appointment. If you make an appointment. All right. We were trying to give it just a little bit more time for one of our other board members who may be stuck in traffic or something. So on that note, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you guys all for coming. We have the privilege today to have one of our students from Orangethorpe School lead us in the pledge. So I am going to ask that Mr. Anderson come up front. Is he gonna come up front with the microphone? Come up front or go to the podium, and he's gonna lead us in our pledge today. It's like a maze, I know. All right, you get a microphone and everything. There you go. Okay.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart.
Ready, begin.
What?
Say ready, begin.
Okay. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very nicely done. Mr. Anderson, can you tell us what grade you're in? Go ahead, now it's on.
I'm in 3rd grade.
Thank you so much. And do you have people here? Is your dad here with you tonight? Okay. Tell your dad, hey. Say, hey, Dad.
No, I don't want
Okay. All right. And give that guy back the microphone. I like someone who knows exactly what he wants to do. All right. Okay. On that note, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pivot to Dr. Lee, who's going to talk about an award that one of our schools is receiving this evening.
Good evening, President Berryman, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Bob Plecka. It is my honor to introduce this school. In March of 2020, the districts and sites all across the state and nation faced a monumental challenge. How do we offer quality instruction during a pandemic? It required educators to think outside of the box. This last school year, the state wanted to hear about innovative ways the district and schools provided that instruction. And in lieu of the California Distinguished School Award, the state called upon schools and districts to tell their story. They encouraged applicants to go for the California Pivotal Award. What was your pivotal practice during distance learning? Applicants had to highlight one or more of the following areas: student engagement, access to technology, nutritional services, and/or social-emotional well-being of students. It is no surprise that Robert C. Pfister School received this recognition for innovative practices during distance learning. And it is my honor to recognize the principal, the assistant principal, Dr. Ben Rall, as well as Linda Beecher, to receive this award on behalf of California, as well as the board, as well as representing cabinet, and want to congratulate not only the school site, but the teachers that worked so hard during a very challenging time. So if you wouldn't mind coming up, we want to recognize you at this time.
Nice job, you guys. Nice job. Oh, wait. Take a picture and then you can say something if you'd like. Would you like to say a few words?
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Benarod, the principal of Fissler.
And I'm Linda Beecher, the assistant principal.
And I think we all recognize that the last 3 years were really difficult for our students, our families, our staff, our community. And I think that the Pivotal Practice Award really highlighted what we did as a community to support our students' well-being. So we're really proud of how much we had to really work together, redefine what we were going to do to support students while keeping up with our rigorous academic program. So our number one priority as a school community was to really provide that connection for our students. We wanted them to know that even though they were on Zoom and we were not there, we're still a classroom community. So we provided extra social emotional lessons. Our staff really designed their instructional program to make sure that we were still able to connect with our students, because we know at the end of the day, this was something new for all of us and we needed to work together. So I'm so proud of our community. And I think that, our community, the tough times was not evident when our students came back, because they came back ready to learn. They were eager, they were happy. So we felt like our whole community really rallied together. So this award really means a lot, because hopefully we will never experience something like this again, but we really overcame the challenges, and I think that we're stronger because of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know that all of our schools did a phenomenal job, and thank you guys for applying for the award. And we are very proud of you and your staff. So make sure that you deliver that message back, that we appreciate everything everyone's done, because it obviously couldn't be done with just the two of you. We had to have everyone behind you, district staff, community of Fissler, and everyone that went along with that. So thank you very much. All right, we will now move on to our superintendent's report.
I just wanted to take a moment to give a big shout out to all of our classified employees who have been working behind the scenes during the summer to get our schools ready. Had a chance to go with Scott today, our director of facilities, and visit 9 different sites on looking at the readiness of those sites. And just want to, again, a big shout out to the grounds crew that cutting and putting in new planters, the custodians that have been doing all the blowing and preparing everything from drinking fountains to the welcoming center inside. Just a big shout out to his whole team. That doesn't even count the plethora of projects that they completed. And so again, a big shout out to all the classified staff, but a special thanks to Scott and his team.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, information from our Board of Trustees. We will start today with Trustee Tucker.
Yeah, thank you. Last meeting before school starts, so I had the excitement really of picking up the iPad and schedule for our 8th grader this afternoon, and it was very smooth. And I think it says a lot about maybe where we've all been in the last couple of years, that both of my sons are very excited about going to school. Or maybe it just says we didn't plan a very good summer for them. But that was one of my favorite Pledge of Allegiances of all time. Thank you, young man. That was very cool. Tonight, we're going to be, I think, hearing from some community members from my old school at Orangethorpe. And, we're here to listen to your concerns, and I look forward to hearing them. Tonight, we are updating a joint use field agreement with the city of Fullerton. I want to thank everyone that was involved with letting the city know that we weren't happy with the way the fields were being maintained here in Fullerton. I was coaching soccer during the pandemic, and the haphazard planning was really unfortunate. It was a safety issue. So I'm really glad that the district is going to be coming back. So thank you to everybody that worked on that. And then I was pleased to see that one of the amazing things about the Fullerton School District is that I think even if you feel that maybe something that is very important to you is not being addressed exactly the way that you want, this district operates on so many levels. We're updating how we are addressing homeless students in the district. Thank you for getting back to me, Dr. Morris, Dr. Pletka. 142 students have been identified as homeless within our district. And, you know, to me, that's a staggering number, but it's smaller than some neighboring districts. But, you know, we continue to provide services to those students and those families. And that's one of the things that makes me very proud about serving in this district. So thank you very much. And I can't wait for school to start again.
On many levels, right? Thank you. Trustee Sugarman?
Good evening and welcome just about back to school. We start in like a week and it's an exciting time for students. Rubbed, scrubbed, smiling, and so much anticipation on that first day. That made me happy because that makes me happy. And our leadership of the school district just had a 2-day conference and we had some unbelievably powerful speakers join us to give us their insights on exactly that. Our students come ready to learn. What are we going to do to make sure not only learning happens, but that they feel thrilled to come to school every day like the first day? And one of the first speakers we had was Dr. Victor Rios, and he is so powerful, so powerful. His story is a movie. He started school enthusiastic. In 3rd grade, some incidents happened all on one day, and it turned him off to school. And he never thought about being happy in school again till the 11th grade. A teacher, a wonderful teacher who took interest in him. And needless to say, he is a success story. He teaches at UC Santa Barbara. He devotes a great deal of time to students who might be at risk, whether they're at college or prior to college. And he gave us this book, the district got everybody this book, My Teacher Believes in Me. It's a great read. It's written by Dr. Rios and his wife, Dr. Rios. And I've only gotten half through. I recommend it. They're all wonderful. We also heard from our own Jody, who has retired, and she spoke to us about yourself and how you have to take care of yourself to be a good teacher and what we have to look for in our schools. Very powerful, very important, and what a perfect way to start the school year for all of us to remember these very important things. I also wanted to mention, I had the honor of, for very few minutes, joining our secretaries and office managers on their in-service day. And they too were coming back shiny and cleaned up and happy. And it was so good to see them. I only was able to stay a short while and watch Dr. Morris give a wonderful presentation with staff on things that the office manager and the secretary need to know. Oh my goodness, some of it we don't even think about, and they're responsible. Thank you, Dr. Morris. That was a wonderful program. And also, I had the wow moment to discover that sometimes you do things and you think they're perfect, right? And they have little tweaks that need to be done. So some of our solar units that are put up over grass, it's very difficult for the grass to grow. So Scott and his team are taking action to put, if it's on a playground, to put concrete down so that our students have play area that's safe and not uneven dirt. And I want to thank everybody for taking the time to come up with creative solutions for little tweaks on things that we do that we think are moving the district forward, such as solar energy, and complications for our staff and our kids. So a big thank you to them. A wonderful 22-23 school year. I hear that it's going to be left up to people themselves, whether they're wearing their masks or not, to families. Orange County Department, what is it? Oh, CDC of Orange County.
Orange County Health.
Orange County Health. And I think that our families are going to be very happy about that, making their own choices. So this is going to be a great year. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Trustee Meyer?
Sure. Well, I'm looking forward to a whole new school year. And when every time this happens, because I taught for so long, I always enjoy the first day that the teachers go back because I don't get up real early. But I do think back at going back into the classroom, it's probably one of the more exciting days of the whole year. Having all those new faces and all the excitement of the kids coming in and the parents taking pictures and okay, let's get back in the room now. One of the things that I'll give a kudo to the maintenance, because when I went back to my classroom, you know what I thought was really cool was the tile was really shiny. Those of you in a classroom that have some tile, you get that from me. So it's a lot of work to get things back and a lot of work on the teacher's part. The other thing I did on the looking toward the personnel report, there are so many teachers that did so much work this summer. Professional development is all listed down there, pages and pages and pages of that. So thank you to everybody who gave their time and their interest in learning more to get ready for the new school year. And also we have a lot of new hires too. That was a little surprising to me, but they'll all be greeted tomorrow morning at Fissler. And looking forward to the end of this month because we have a very busy month, the board. We have board meetings, we have board superintendents, we have our professional development, and we start with open houses. So this is a busy time of year, but it's an exciting time and lots of exciting and new things happening. Thanks.
Trustee Talavera?
Exciting is probably one of the words that you can explain how, especially I'm feeling, my boys are feeling. So today, also, like Trustee Takur mentioned, our 8th grader picked up his iPad from school and got his classes, his schedule. Super exciting to see. He's already thinking, what the school year is going to look like. Also, my 3rd grader also went to go pick up, a packet from Pack Drive. So another shout out to Scott and his team, expanding that is it a driveway or that pass through? What do we call that over there? The drop-off lane. There you go. The drop-off lane, expanding that. And I'm sure a lot of the parents at Pacific Drive are really, really excited to see that being expanded a little bit. Personally, it was a little tight fit for a few years there, but no, great. So again, all the projects that are happening. So real kudos to you, Scott, and your team to be able to manage all those projects, whether it's, subcontractors or our staff doing it. So a big shout out to you on that. So super excited to see kids coming back to school. My boy seeing his friends picking up his iPad today. A lot of amazing stuff. Trustee Sugarman also touched on the 2-day retreat. I thought that was really amazing way to start the school year for our management staff. Team building opportunities for them to get to know each other a little bit more, cross collaboration, opportunities for them to be able to share, ways to continue making the school sites a lot better for our kids and our parents as well too. So definitely please YouTube or just Google Victor Rios. Amazing speaker, story, background, resonates with a lot of our staff, especially at the management level as well too. So if you have some time, just Google his name, and I'm sure you'll find tons of videos of him doing some public speaking, the videos that he's done, and you can read a little bit more into his story, but definitely resonates with me. Super amazing. And then little shout out, little plug. OC United is hosting a kind of community get together tomorrow afternoon from 5 to 6. Just trying to bring the community together before school starts at Valencia Park, the actual park, not the school, but right next to the adjoining the school there. So just a little plug out there. You might see some flyers circulating out in the community. So I invite you there. I'll be there present myself. Wanted to share Also, a little bit with the shared joint use agreement as well too that we'll be hearing about today. I think that's a real critical component to our school sites to really make them feel homey when our kids come to school. It's their second home. They spend a lot of the majority of the time at our school sites, so making sure that they feel like they're really at home and they're really comfortable and excited to be whether inside the classroom or outside in the playground doing extracurricular activities. And so I did forget to share a little bit about Dr. Rios's message. So he refers to a lot of the kids that are at risk to be at promise. So really thinking about the assets that they bring to the table in the classroom. So with that, I'll pass it on over.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and ask that Dr. Lee come back up, and we wanted to hear a little bit about transitional kindergarten and how that's going. So she's going to touch on that, and then I'll finish up.
Okay, thank you. Good evening once again. It is my honor to give you a brief update on Universal Transitional Kindergarten, which we refer to as our TK program. I am happy to report that every elementary and K-8 site will have a TK class. And with that, I too anticipate the start of the school year because I can't wait to go visit the classrooms. We have a total of 19 classes that include dual language TK as well as co-teach. So we have a little graph just to show you, it's color coded, the difference between also the TK classes and the TKK combos that we are going to be offering.
Excuse me 1 minute. Could you explain co-teach?
Absolutely. It's our specialized program for our special needs students, and they have access to mainstream classrooms so that they are also learning with their peer alikes and have opportunities to be able to participate in many of the gen ed, general education opportunities that the schools provide. You're welcome. We also have a projected enrollment slide, and granted, we are starting the school year, so we only have a projection, but this is apples to apples comparison of where we started last year in month 1. We had 186 students. We are projected to start with 356. All right. We are anticipated to have 356 this fall. But if we look at last year, we had 186. Now the 186 did grow to 258 in May, but it does show you it's a different group of kids that are coming up, the additional enrollment that our district anticipates. Shared at a previous board meeting by our director, Jung Lai, and just big kudos to her. She oversees and spearheads this program. So if we have detailed questions, she is in the house to be able to answer them. We have a professional learning model for our TK teachers as well as our instructional assistants, focusing on 3 areas. We're looking at foundations and framework, developmentally appropriate practices, and social-emotional development. They will earn a certificate after 20 hours of professional learning with a lot of options, so flexible learning options that include an asynchronous type of platform. So we're talking webinars, recordings, readings, workshops, and there is a link that kind of directs you to a website that kind of discloses all of that for our internal staff. And with that, that does conclude my brief update. Do you have any questions for Dr. Lai or myself?
I have a few. Yeah, thank you so much for providing this, because I think at the last meeting I was thinking it might just be an email, but I've been reading up a little bit more about it. This is such a game changer. 3 million children in our state, I read, are now eligible for basically like a universal preschool type program, something that could never have been done federally, seems like. But we have it now in California. So this is really exciting. Thank you again. The increased enrollment is wonderful, but the state changed the ed code. What are some of the requirements? What did we have to change in our district by welcoming TK students?
One of the first big changes that we have is now we're accepting younger students. So think of TK as for 4-year-olds. And kindergarten is for 5-year-olds. So that's a big change. And every year for the next few years, we're going to add a few more months. So we'll have younger and younger students. So by 2025, 2026, If you turn 4 by September 1st, you will be accepted into transitional kindergarten. And I think that it was easier when I thought, okay, transition kindergarten, 4-year-olds, kindergarten, 5-year-olds, and then first grade, 6-year-olds. That's one of the big changes. Another big change is the cap. Before that, we didn't have a cap in terms of the number of students we have. Now the cap is 24. We were able, before we had about 30, we could have 32, 33 students in a class if it was a part day, half day class, but now the cap is 24 students. The other big change is that we have to make sure that we maintain a adult student ratio of 1 to 12. And next year, the word's already out. Next year, the ratio is going to be 1 to 10. So those are some of the biggest changes that we have, and I think all for the benefit of our students.
Will there be a cutoff? I imagine, maybe the word hasn't gotten out to every parent. So maybe halfway through the year, somebody who says to their friend whose 4-year-old is in TK, hey, I have a 4-year-old, can I enroll them? Would we be accepting students throughout the year?
Absolutely. We still have spaces open, so we will continue to accept students all throughout the year.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you so much for that update for us. Thank you, thank you. All right.
This is so exciting because we have been inundated with information over the last 10 years that children who are not going to preschool have a disadvantage over those whose families can send them to preschool. And this is, again, equity for students. And that's so important. And we hope that 5 years from now, the data will say, wow, children who've gone through TK are entering school at a much higher level. And it isn't, in the past, we had some information that by the 3rd grade, their advantages diminished, except they had higher self-esteem. Hopefully, this program will show that the advantages continue and the strengthen their learning. That's my hope.
Thank you. And our programs are much different in TK as they are in kindergarten, right? We make an effort to make sure that we're not doing the same things because we're preparing our right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that information. Thank you, board, for all of your comments. I won't take too much time on my report. I do want to echo what my colleagues have said about our management retreat and appreciate the fact that watching our managers be able to take some time to really think about their year and think about where they're going and what direction we're going in as a team. Bringing everyone together was very important. Can't say enough great things about Dr. Rios. And I did just want to share just a few tidbits of things that really were my aha moments on what he said. One of his strategies or one of his comments was that that his motto is he will allow people to fail or allow students to fail, but he will not allow them. So I'm sorry, allow to fail, but not to be a failure, right? He will allow them to fail at something, but he won't render them as a failure. Understanding that people will do things, they will fail, but they're not failures. And I think that was very, very important for students to know that it's okay to make a mistake. We all do that. It's just a matter of let's pick you up and let's move on. That was big. And then I care for you, but I can't carry you. Again, it's that whole giving our students agency, giving our students that ability to be accountable for what they do and allowing us as parents and teachers and what have you to understand that we can care for someone, but sometimes we've got to let them go and we've got to let them do it. So those were a couple of things that I found very, very touching and hit home for me. Again, a great way to start out our year. I felt a good way to have our managers really be able to come together. And thank you, district staff, for making sure that happened. I know it doesn't happen alone. Everyone worked very hard to make sure that we had what we needed and that our managers were able to be in an environment that was safe for them and felt like they could share it and really grow. So thank you. Cultivating fruitful growth, right? So that was very good. I think that was all I'm going to share for now. Thank you again, Mr. Anderson, wherever you are out there. Really love having you. Okay, on that note, we will move to our report from associations. So DLAC, I see DLAC in the house. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Mrs. Nunzi?
Hello, good afternoon, all of you. Muy buenas tardes. Eclet Nunzi, the very proud president of DLAC, of the school district. And we are so happy, all the parents, that we're going to start a new school year. You see, most of, I have a lot of parents calling me because they are so grateful for the dual language academy that we have a Pacific Drive in Raymond. And now we're so happy to have it. We have it in Spanish. And now we're going to start a Laguna Row in Korean, because that is our other, our big community here that we have in Fullerton, and we are all very excited. Thank you to all the teachers, the principals. We have a lot of new staff in our district, and they are giving a warm welcoming to our parents. The orientations, they are, making the children participate in the orientations, and that makes, each of our school sites more welcoming to the families. When you transition from elementary to junior high, it's a big change. But we're making it so welcoming, and people are so grateful. Receive a lot of calls. Thank you so much to Mr. Jose Varela, our new principal of Nicolas, because he's doing an amazing job. Our new assistant principal, Ms. Garcia, and Ms. Cuipo, they're amazing, and all the staff. Thank you to all the schools, because they are doing an amazing job welcoming our families. We have it from other districts, and everybody's always eager to come to our district for the quality of service that we provide to everyone that come to our district. Thank you so much, and we are very eager to start our new school year. Very happy to see many faces with or without mask. Thank you so much.
Have you guys found that sometimes you have to put on your mask so that someone recognizes you? I see people all the time and they don't recognize me. I put on a mask. Oh, or I do the opposite. I'm always on Zoom. So then I have to take off my mask. Sorry, just thought it. Impulsive conversation. Sorry. PTA, do we have anyone from PTA here today?
We do not have somebody here from PTA.
And no statement. Okay, all right. CSEA. Oh, look who's in the house.
Good evening, Dr. Pleca, President Berryman, members of the board and cabinet. I'm Tanya Blalek, speaking on behalf of CSEA. Our students are going to start school here in 6 days. Can you believe it? Summer's already over. Just as our students are excited for the new school year, so is CSEA. We look forward to seeing familiar faces and welcoming new members to our community. As our school offices have opened, we are grateful for our office staff for being the first contact to nervous parents, and even to maybe nervous staff members. Thank you for answering questions and being a smiling face to greet us all. CSEA would also like to acknowledge M&O for their hard work during the summer break. Dr. Pleca, I felt like you were just reading my report here. The custodial crews who deep cleaned our classrooms, moved classroom furnitures, and along with the details, sometimes we overlook that they don't. When you look out and you see these men and ladies just cleaning, sweating, working so hard, you really understand the commitment they have to our schools. As for me, I would like to praise our district landscapers and painters. I had the privilege of working with them along with other classifications for a 2-week project. And let me tell you, we are humbled by their hard work that they put into making our campuses look amazing. The dedication that they have, the time and effort that they put into making our schools look the way they do, I would like to say thank you. We are humbled by you and the hard work that they do. We had Miguel as a landscaper, and let me tell you, that man works so hard. And the effort that he puts in and using the machines, and he's like, I got it, I got it, let me help you, let me do this. He is an asset to our community. CSA would also like to thank the IIS team for working so hard to prepare for all the devices for our students and staff. You have an amazing team and you deserve kudos by all of us. So in closing, we wish you a successful year. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Theta?
Well, you all did my report for me, basically. So
When you go
thank
last,
you.
you just let everybody else go. Yeah.
But I'm going to do it again because I wrote it and I gave it to Anna for translation. So first, Anderson, I so needed you to come in and do that tonight because that's what I look forward to when I go in to teach. So thank you. That was awesome. Totally awesome. So thank you. And congratulations to Fissler School. I'm not sure if they're still here, but congratulations to their staff for their award. Good evening. Here we go. A few more days, even after teaching so long, just like Trustee Myers said, I look forward to going in. I'm having my nightmares right now and all my weird dreams and not sleeping, but I know the floor is going to be polished and my classroom's nice and clean. I've already been there setting it up. So I know that that's going to be great. And I know many of our members feel this way. And tomorrow when we greet those new teachers, they're going to know it too, because that's going to be exciting. Trustee Sugarman, I loved your statement from the last meeting, reunite as one team for our students. And we at FETA are ready to do just that. We've had our first executive board planning meeting and have discussed ways to reach out to our members and to all of you in order to address the needs of our students and families. And a special shout out to Dr. Hammett because he's really helped me to learn this role. And I've been bugging him on a regular basis. So I appreciate your partnership with that. There's many teachers already working, nurses, counselors setting up their classrooms, their offices, and getting everything ready to greet our children. And as you also said, there's lots of teachers going to trainings. So that's been a big thing. Trustee Talavera, I appreciated, along with a couple of the other TK teachers, you asking about the program. So thank you, Dr. Lee, for giving us that update. That's been a big thing on a lot of people's minds. And Dr. Lai, thank you for also answering my questions for this process and making some great staff developments available already. I want to give a huge shout out to Lori Bruno and her team for their work on the safety plan for safe schools. During their presentation last week, I really appreciated seeing how the LCAP, the suggestions, the concerns, the questions that were brought up by staff members and the district office were addressed in that safety plan. So that's really neat to see. Our members are looking forward to our negotiations this year. We already are putting some dates on the calendar. And there was a quote in the news that said, inflation this year is taking away any pay increases employees are getting. So we all know that with all of the up prices on everything, that it's going to be a hard year. So we look forward to discussing ways to support our members. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Fesma.
We do not have a FESMA report tonight.
All right. So we don't have FESMA. So that's the end of our information from our associations. We are going to move on to public comments. So I will read our rules and decorum for public comments. So individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board limits the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. The total time allowed for public comment shall be 30 minutes. Public comment on an item that is on the agenda will be heard at the time the agenda item is considered by the board. Public comment about an item that is not on the posted agenda will be heard at the beginning of the open session and called upon by the board president. No action or discussion may take place on an item that is not on the posted agenda, except as expressly authorized by law. Since the board cannot take action on the items that are not on the agenda, such items will be referred to the superintendent for handling. Board members may request that any item be placed on a future agenda for future discussion. The board president and superintendent will determine the best time and place, the time to place the item on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the board are invited to submit a request to speak slip and provide it to the the executive assistant. And we do have those slips available if you would like them. I do have some public comments, so I will read them and know just in the order that they came in. you can come up and have your minutes, and we will move on. So the first person to speak tonight is Mark Anderson. Come up to the podium. Welcome, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
All right. Is there a time? Where's the timer at? Will someone tell me? Okay. All right, cool. So my name is Mark Anderson. I'm a proud parent of Anderson Anderson, who goes to Orangethorpe, is a third grader in the multi-age program. And I'm here tonight with a group of parents to speak about some of the frustrations about the decision to split our primary teacher, Miss Karcher, and Miss Keller into two separate levels. Thank you, Dr. Hammett and Dr. Lee, for coming and facilitating the meeting and listening to our parents. And thank you to board members who've been very responsive to emails and hearing the issues. So thank you. Kind of moving forward, we really need clarity and direction on recruiting for this program at our school site, as well as clarity for our site leader on what recruiting is allowed. All school programs, including multi-age, need to be available to the schools in the communities that they serve. And we're doing a disservice to the immediate community of Orangethorpe by not sharing the multi-age community with the multi-age opportunities with these families and students that already go there, that are already in the program. Also, our families really would appreciate a date that the district will receive a decision and the plans moving forward for Orangethorpe and multi-age, because we have decisions to make. We have 6 days till the start of school. We have 6 days to decide what we're going to do with our students. And I would be remiss if, having the opportunity to speak in front of a board, school board, if I wouldn't say something about offering more music and arts in all of our schools by providing certificated music teachers at all of our sites. Having an elementary school of the arts sounds like a great plan for families who are able to actually drive and commute and get their families there. But unfortunately, it does create inequity across the district, and all students in FSD will benefit from having opportunities to have weekly music instruction. This has been possible in other districts in very similar socioeconomic backgrounds, and we need to start that work here because it is the right thing to do for all students. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Cindy Rivera.
Good evening, board. Good evening, everybody else. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I also want to, again, thank Dr. Hammett and Dr. Lee for coming and meeting with all of us parents with our concerns. I just want to reemphasize everything that Mark has said. In addition to, I have 3 boys, all range. I have twins that are in 3rd grade. I have an older student who is starting in middle school who has gone through the program from start to finish. He ended up getting the Presidential Gold Award for academic achievement. He was in our state championship team for junior high as a 6th grader. And I think all of that is attributed to the foundation that has been set by these 2 teachers that we are speaking of today. And in addition to that, I'm going to come at it from a recruiting aspect because I'm also the vice president of PTA within Orangethorpe Elementary, former president. My term ended, and I am also the lead recruiter parent for this program. It was on my heart and soul that I poured everything out into what I was telling on all these tours and all of these conferences and things that we had, trying to recruit new parents. And when I recruited these parents, for those that aren't familiar with the multi-age program, we have individualized curriculums for each one of our students, which means one-on-one instruction. It sounds impossible, but it's not, because we have such great teachers that know what they're doing. So splitting them up is going to only just take one teacher in the primary, one teacher in the upper grade. It's one thing for a curriculum to be on a combo class for say two grade levels, you're talking about if we have 31 students in the class, that's 31 curriculums. It's a lot. So I want to know, how can I, in good faith, continue to recruit parents to come on board when we only have one teacher and we currently have 31 students, when other districts are doing a 20 to 22 per one teacher. And this is an even bigger load, if you will. Also, I don't know what to do in the meantime. I'm stuck, right? So here I am, I'm trying to recruit so that our program doesn't just crumble. And here I need to be able to get, I have 15 third graders that are going to be moving on to fourth grade out of the primary classroom, and I need to be able to recruit those 15. I also have families that have left the program now due to this decision just within this last week, which is very sad for our program. And I need to know, now I need to recruit those 15. I have to recruit those families that we just lost, and I need to recruit more. Then I had another parent tell us in between that they tried to register for the class and they said it was full. So my question is, how can we as a district get this out, get the word out there to everybody? And at what point are we going to have the help that we need to get this program where it needs to be? And what do we do in the meantime? Where's the filler? So those are some things to think about. And I just want to leave you guys with this. It was in my little letter, but from the White House of Consumer Affairs, a dissatisfied customer will tell between 9 and 15 people about their experience. Around 13% of dissatisfied customers will tell more than 20 people. Happy customers will tell who get their issue resolved, tell about 4 to 6 people about their experience. So this is a really, truly amazing program that is literally on the verge of collapsing. And I don't know if we can come back from this, to be completely honest. And if I wasn't fully invested in this classroom already and the teachers, and that I didn't know these teachers personally, and that I haven't worked with them for years, to know that they are able to present themselves in a way with their expertise to teach these students, I probably would have been like some of those other parents and to taken my kids out of the class. But I have faith that Mrs. Karcher can do it, but that's also a big load on her, just her. So I do know that we have a teacher's aide part-time, right, coming in, and we have a part-time RTI certified teacher. But again, this is not that one-on-one instruction that they should have in this specialized program.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Wang.
Hello again, my name is Sarah Wang. I have 3 kids in the multi-age program. I have Milo going into 5th, I have Izzy going into 2nd, and I have Remy going into 1st. I will be in the multi-age for 11 years. Let me follow that up with, we are out of district. So everyone has said thank you and told you a little bit about our program. We are out of district. We made the choice to come into this program. And I emphasize, thank you again, Mr. Hammett and Dr. Lee, to bring our money to your district. There are many parents who do that. We have 13 out of district kids. I look through your budget for the year. I see $10,938 per ADA for ADA. I also talked about Title I funding, $900 to $1,400 in 2015 monies. I don't see how that doesn't justify our second teacher that made us join the program in the first place. We did a quick raise of hands during that meeting that we had, and all of the out of district parents said we would have never come. It is a chaotic classroom at times because we have kids that are very neurodivergent. We have exceptionally bright kids who are going beyond even 3rd grade math. Like my son, for example, is doing 8th grade math now as a 5th grader and is allowed to do that within the program. These teachers go above and beyond. We're talking about game changers in the future, like Mr. Anderson over here. These are the kids that are being supported by this one-on-one instructor that only that second teacher can provide. I'm trying to talk quick. What was not explained to me when I brought that up is I am still calculating, even without Title I funds, between $75,000 to $112,000 in a potential windfall to the district. That's not going back to our program. And I don't understand it. My out of district money, I don't understand where it's going. I know that there's the teacher's aid. I know that there's the half RTI. Those sound great, but it's not the same as the one-on-one instruction that our kids get, but also the socio and emotional support needs. We have many divergent kids. We have exceptionally bright kids who have asynchronous development as well. And so you often have a teacher, my son, and I feel so personal saying this, he wanted to commit suicide one day in the classroom. Miss Keller was able to hold him and calm him down and figure out what was going on with him while Miss Carter didn't miss a single beat and could lead the rest of the class. I don't see how an aide or an RTI can do that without years built into the program and never leaving or having turnover. Miss Keller already does that. My other issue is this. I know there are the ratio requirements. You're hobbling our program. You said during our meeting that you want 2 teachers in the program, that you're going to make sure we get the marketing and the funding and all those things and parent task groups and all that. You had said that the maximum for 1 teacher is 32 kids, if I remember correctly, and the minimum for 2 teachers would be 57. What do we do with kids 33 and 56 that we want to enroll? How do we show them that they should join this program without it making sound conditional and tentative? Just one last quick thing. I'm sorry. TK combo, you guys mentioned the UPK. The thing is, the TK students that join are exceptional kids. I can tell you right now, if my kid was in TK age, I would come to this program if my kid was exceptionally bright. And so far, the TKers that have joined, they're all joined for similar reasons. These are kids that are already reading at 2 years old, doing advanced mathematics. The typical universal PK, the typical TK is not serving them. I know that the district's attorney had said that you can't have 4-year-olds with beyond 5-year-olds, but let me read you some of the legislative intent. In terms of the TK and kindergarten combo FAQs alone, it says the local education agencies have flexibility to determine how to best meet the curricular needs of each child. Each child. It's true that we don't have many TKers, but those TKers are exceptional kids who do not fit the mold. Most of our kids don't. And I would encourage you to maybe still look at potentially allowing the TK kids. That would be a combo with TK and K that would meet your 1-to-12 ratio even going forward. The grades 1st through 3rd could be also thought of as a different roster and could meet whatever ratio things are going there. We will rebuild after COVID. You mentioned the arduous years. We lost so many people. Don't take it away now while we're just getting on the cusp of recovering. It will continue to grow and be a gem of Fullerton if you please reverse your decision. Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Right. Rebecca Darter.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Darter, and I'm a parent at Orange Thorpe Elementary, and my 2 children attend the multi-age program. I'm also on the PTA board this year. Since January of this year, the parents of multi-age, and Cindy in particular, have spent hours and hours recruiting new families to our program. This was time away from our families, a time away from our work, because we care so much about this program and we want it to be successful. Last week, we got the unfortunate news that we have only 1 credentialed full-time teacher for primary instead of the 2 teachers that have been there for at least a decade. On Monday, I was part of the meeting with Mr. Hammett and Dr. Lee, who graciously listened to the parents talk for an hour and a half about why this program is so important and the teachers are so important as well. However, there were 2 things not addressed in the meeting that I want to bring to your attention. First, if this decision stands that there will be only 1 teacher for primary, there appears to be no roadmap of how the program will get back to having 2 teachers. Having 2 teachers is one of the major selling points of the program. Every parent asks, and we proudly say yes, 2 full-time teachers, and that is what allows us to build that individual curriculum. By only having 1 teacher, it makes our recruiting efforts that much more difficult. If we do not have a robust primary where we're able to have 2 teachers and as many kids as we can possibly get, the upper class, which is 4th through 6th, there's a possibility that those numbers will diminish as well. And I don't think it's much of a leap to say that the upper program could be eliminated simply due to low head counts. And again, that would make recruiting for the primary program that much more difficult. So basically, this decision will cause a domino effect that doesn't just impact the children that are attending multi-H this year, but will impact for years to come. The second thing I wanted to bring your attention to is that I feel like there's an overall lack of awareness of how much the multi-H parents contribute to Orangethorpe, not just for the program that our children are in, but for the school as a whole. For example, last year and this year, the entire PTA board was made up of multi-H parents. When we have PTA fundraisers and events, 90% of the parent volunteers that come are multi-age parents. If the multi-age, I'm almost done. If the multi-age program is allowed to diminish in size, the strong parent community that we have will also diminish, and that affects all the students at Orangethorpe. Our hope is that the district feels the multi-age program is as important and as special as we do, and that we will commit to funding 2 teachers to keep the program thriving, as well as robust support with our future recruitment efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. All right, we have a couple more. Cynthia Miller.
Hi, good evening. I'm a new parent to the Orangethorpe community, and I'm so excited to be a part of this community. We've been, I have a little guy, so he's part of that new TK program, and we've been preparing all summer to get him ready for school and get him excited about being there. And last Friday, I found out that after all of that preparation, my son will not be allowed to attend. And so now we're a week away from school starting. I have no plan. I don't know what I'm supposed to do because we have a week left. We love the multi-age program. We want to be a part of the multi-age program. I don't think it's okay that we are now being kicked out of the program, especially because you need more students. And my son is ready to be in a classroom with older kids. I know him well, and I know that he will thrive in that environment. He does not need to be with other TKers to thrive, and he does need more than what is offered through the TK program. So I am just without words as to what I'm supposed to do now, a week from school starting. I've tried to call the district. I'm waiting to hear back on some information on what's still available. But at this point, I mean, I want multi-age or I'm not bringing him to the district. So I just would love some more information about those decisions and what I can do at this point to ensure that my son's needs are being met and that he can get the education that he really needs.
Thank you, Cynthia. Okay, Judy Ye.
Good evening, board members, district personnel, Dr. Pletka, and community guests. I would like to address the change in staffing, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, I'm going to speak to this problem as an educator. I see a big issue as a former aide myself, who was credentialed at the time, with what the aide that's being put in this classroom is being asked to do. This is above and beyond their job description. To maybe not on paper fill the role of a teacher, but that's essentially what they're being asked to do. The second problem I have is that this one job is being split between 2 people. There is a morning person and an afternoon person. Rather than having one person there all day long, because that's what has worked for the last decade, you are splitting it up, the district is splitting it up into 2 separate people so that they don't have to pay benefits and support a living wage in that way. aides do not make a lot of money, to the point of benchmarking. The district and the powers that be require benchmarking quite thoroughly in the primary grades. Basically the solution that's being proposed is, okay, we'll throw a bunch of substitutes in there. The quality of our children's education will suffer. I have worked as a very, very effective and beloved substitute, but I cannot do as a substitute what a teacher can do that's in there every single day. It's just not possible. In addition, I want to stress the workload that is being placed upon this very, very valuable teacher. If you go and you ask the 2 previous teachers for upper multi-age, you will get an answer, if you press them hard enough, probably, but you will get an answer that basically it wore them out. You are going to wear this teacher out. You are going to wear the upper teacher out. And by keeping the ratio this way, it is a recipe to end the program. And I say that as an educator. I have taught combo classes. I have taught 2 grades. It is a lot of work. The teacher designs what the parents do. The teacher tells the aide what to do. The teacher tells the substitute what to do. Everyone that comes into that classroom relies on that teacher. With one person fielding all of it, that is way too much. And that's on top of all the curriculum, the 4 grade levels that she's being asked to teach. To close, I want to reiterate how tied our hands are now, with one set of directions being, no, you cannot recruit within your school community. But here, you have to reach the numbers that were a part of the program at the height. We're being asked to multiply students when the one core factor that brought many, many parents in was that second teacher. That is the reason why it works.
Thank you, Judy. Right. You want a public comment? Okay, go. Someone will write so we have record of Mrs. Nuzzi. We'll get your little form.
I'm sorry, they were here. Hello, good evening, board. Eklet Nunzi, and I came here with a subject about the safety of our student at Nicholas Junior High. I have the pleasure to go to the Commission of Traffic Engineering with Lori Bruno, addressing the situation of our crossing guard, Nicholas Junior High. Is very dangerous. This was happening for years. And last school year, parents, we took the initiative to have, from Pacific Drive, a lot of our parents, we moved to Nicholas and we have a safety team. And with this team, we were helping to cross the students. But then the city, don't allow us to do that because we are not trained crossing guards. And and very kindly, the school district helped us and provide a crossing guard. That is so much needed because our student, at Nicholas, sometimes it's not too much even the students. We have a lot of problem with the parents not following the rules of the traffic. A lot of speeding, turning, making you turn in the intersection, not looking for our students. We have so many incidents. And this morning we have one. And this is, kids with their parents. Because now the city put 3-way stop sign and nobody knows who goes first. And people were in the middle and the both cars, they were like a crowd, they're making sandwich of them. It was very dangerous. I came to all of you to please help us to provide a crossing guard for our students. We really is a big need. And as a parents, we went to the city, we advocate a lot, but we came to you to help us. We are about to start. Monday is our first day, and it's very challenging. parents, we do safety around the school, but we are not allowed to do it because it's a street. We used to do it at Pacific Drive because it was a school district, property, but we cannot. We had the willingness of the parents. Now we cannot do it. This is, very challenging for us. Please help us. It will gonna be really appreciated for our families. It's very dangerous. I will not be here if that was not the case for our students. Please help us. And I know for all the parents of Orange Store that were cabinet, our board, they're amazing people, and they're always gonna find a great solution for any situation that we have. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Ms. Nunzi. Oh, okay. Do we have another slip? Just go ahead. And we'll just write down, just as long as I write down so we can have it for the record. Will you state your name for us?
My name's Amy Lee, and I'm here because I love our teachers. I was just here to support, but I've been asked to represent, so I am. When I found the multi-age program, I was a full-time working mom, and at most I maybe got 1 or 2 hours with my kids. So I've been tremendously thankful for both of our teachers, and they've been the secondary parents that we've needed for both of my children, my son that's going into 5th grade and my daughter that's going into 3rd. Some history about me is I went to 8 schools by the time I graduated high school. And suffice it to say, when I looked for a school for my children, bonding and attaching with secondary caregivers was a big factor for the security and stability that were a priority to me after studying early childhood education, and also my own life. It was unfortunate during the pandemic that there was a breach. We still stayed connected. We had great socio-emotional learning, but it's online learning, it's distance learning, and so it's different. We were just building momentum after the pandemic, and I was saddened to hear the recent news to move Mrs. Keller out of our classroom and what that would mean for our children and our families. I'm someone who twice a week I go to the school over the summer to water the garden so that the children can come back to flowers. So I'm really sad that they won't be coming back to a teacher that they love unless this decision is overturned. She is not just a teacher, she's a secondary parent. She's also our children's tooth fairy. So she's just a very magical person. And I'm also here because I've been asked to represent GATE students and parents, and many of us are out of district, including myself. We had an opportunity to change schools. I actually transferred my son from another Fullerton district Blue Ribbon school for the multi-age program for all of the reasons that I listed above. And my children have done amazing. My son, after going through this program, he was a state competitor for speech and debate, and that was someone who was afraid of public speaking. And now my daughter's tested positive for GATE, and she's had just wonderful leaps and bounds in her growth this year because of the collaborated efforts with the teacher and myself, being able to communicate with them, seeing what her needs are. I'm so proud of her leaps and bounds in her areas of effort, which is always my focus, but also in her areas of achievement. With one teacher who's the full-time teacher that's GATE certified, teaching 2 other part-time employees, as well as managing all of the other classroom needs and putting together individualized plans for our students. I'm just wondering about the burnout that it will cause on her, and also will our children, all of them, GATE, neurodivergent, everyone, will they be able to reach their full potential? So I want to thank you for your time since the timer hasn't gone off. My brother's actually running for the board in Irvine. And so thank you. I know the sacrifice and effort, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Okay. No more comments, right? Okay, thank you. Thank you all for speaking and being brave to come up and make your opinions heard. As you know, we can't have that conversation with you. And we do know that it's going to be an ongoing situation. So, okay.
President Berryman?
Yes.
May I request 5 minutes, please?
5-minute personal
Break, yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. 5-minute break. We'll be back at 7:20.
Thank you.
was going to say, Mr. Anderson was asking me what I did with this gavel. I should have used it to bring everybody back on time. Thank you. No, we're just a little behind. Okay, so we're going to move on to our agenda. The first thing is to approve our minutes of the last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes
I'll
of
s-
July 26, 2022.
Yeah, I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the July 26th board meeting. Anyone have any changes or anything?
I wanted to point out R&D. The
Of the minutes?
consent- Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were on consent.
No, no, no.
I approve
Not
the
yet.
minutes.
Okay,
They were
all those in favor of
Anna does a
approving the
great
minutes,
job.
say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay. 4 ayes and an abstention because she wasn't here. All right. The agenda approval, what I do have is one change. I would like to, on the request of staff, pull item 10A, which is the discussion action item, the wellness policy. Staff has asked for a little bit more time on that one, so I would like to pull the wellness policy and not approve it or discuss it this evening. So we'd like to approve the agenda with the change or the modification of pulling item 10A.
And then, President Berryman, do we need to include the updated attachments, or is that in the new version?
We have attachments?
That's
Yeah.
the consent.
Oh, okay.
I always
Sorry.
do that too.
Thanks.
All right.
It's easy.
I move to approve the agenda as modified.
Okay. All right.
I'll second.
So do you have a motion? Yep. Okay.
Yeah. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda with pulling item 10A. Any other discussion?
Yes. I'd like to point out items D.
Okay, hold on. Let's approve.
St. Jude Hospital.
Let me approve this first to approve.
Don't we
the-
talk first?
We're going to
then
go to the
approve?
consent next.
That's
still
on the consent.
We're still approving the actual agenda itself. The whole
Sorry.
document. Just say aye. Just say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All those in say aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Now you can.
Okay, let's go to D.
Now you can.
D is about the financial support St. Jude Hospital provides for our mental health and emotional learning programs through PBIS. They've raised the amount from $40,000 to $40,000, I believe, to $50,000, or is it 30 to 40? They've raised the amount by $10,000, and we want to thank them. I know that the hospital's going through difficult times now with funding, and thank goodness that they still support our programs, and that's wonderful. And then the second one I wanted to mention was T, and T is our new service agreement with Orange County Department of Ed to train our teachers in GLAD. And GLAD is a wonderful program, especially for second language learners. And probably also, I would say, for multi-age, for dual immersion. And it's a program that's been around a long time, but some staff have not been trained in it. And I think that they'll be really happy, and I'm glad that the Orange County Department of Ed will be providing this for us. And I'm proud that our district goes out and finds these resources. And so those were two things of happiness. Sadly, I don't see any donations in this agenda.
I noticed that. too,
Everybody
Hilda.
noticed that.
Yes.
Everybody was upset. So it's sad, but next month's meeting will be just amazing.
May I have someone actually make a motion to open up the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Now, anyone else have anything else to talk about that's on the consent agenda? I did want to say that we have Read 180 on here, item S, I believe it is.
Mhm.
This is a great program for interventions and to enhance and supplement what we are doing in our junior highs to really tackle students. I know that the high school also uses it and has been using it for a long time. I'm hoping that, with any new curriculum or any new program that comes in, especially if it's computer, generated, and it's usually students are sitting on a computer doing it. I always want to make sure that we're just not going to send a kid to a computer and say, do this and come back to me in about an hour. Because we know what that does to kids, especially if it's an intervention and something that they're struggling with. So I just want to make sure that, yes, I agree, but I do want some kind of monitoring of that program, just because I've seen some of that happen in the past. So thank you. All right. Anybody else have anything that's on the consent agenda that you'd like to talk about or pull? All right. All those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. All right, moving on to, hold on. Sometimes with all these pages, we are on discussion and action items. Right, so item number A we pulled. So our student wellness. If you guys have had anything to talk about, then just let the district staff know. And then we will move on because we've pulled that item. So we'll go on to, no, we pulled the wellness. We pulled the 10A. Yeah, 10A is approving board policy student wellness. We're pulling that one. That was going to be an approval because it was presented the last time. So we're moving on to the 45-day budget revision, number B. All right.
Okay, President Berryman, Board of Education, Dr. Pletka, staff and guests, I'm here tonight to present the 45th day budget revision. This is somewhat new, where we're actually doing a presentation. When the board adopted the budget on June 21st, we did it based on assumptions prior to the state adopting the state budget. Well, the state then, after July 1st, adopted the budget, and the changes were significant enough that were required, if you can go to the next slide, were required by Education Code 42127 to make these changes known to the board and to the public of what they were. The changes in the revenue is really what we're focusing on tonight. We've yet to allocate those funds, those expenditures, and we'll be doing that over the next few months. But tonight we're sharing with the board and the community the change in the revenue. So if we can go to the next slide, please. This is good news, but it's going to be good news with a little bit of an asterisk. When we adopted the budget back in June, LCFF, we knew that there was an increase of about $10 million in LCFF funding. That's the main funding that comes in. Since it was adopted, they increased LCFF by $3,563,557. That's ongoing money. That's good news, and it's unrestricted. We also received over $28 million in one-time money, and I'm going to go over the different pots of money, if you will. Important to know, it's for the most part, it's restricted money. It has timelines on it, and it's one-time money. So it's not recurring. We are not going to receive this money year after year after year. Still good news, though. We like getting money. So if we can go to the next slide. The way the funding works, the vast majority is in the local control funding formula. And you can see that we receive money based on what students' grade they're in, whether it should be TK to 3, 4 to 6, or 7 to 8. It doesn't matter which district you're at. Every student receives the same amount if they fall into those grade spans. And then we received a COLA, cost of living increase, a statutory COLA of 6.56. The change, and we knew that when we adopted the budget, the change occurred in this additional funding. We had budgeted for about 3.2%, but they actually came in at 6.28%. So that's the additional $3.4 million that Fullerton received for funding, ongoing funding for this year and out. There's other funding, there's supplemental concentration grants, grade span adjustments. All of those were basically stayed the same because based on the number of students we have in those grade spans. Next slide, please. Some of the one-time money, the state of California, keep in mind the state of California had a very good year last year, back in 2021. And so revenue came in 2022. That's where we're receiving a lot of these one-time funds. And so the state of California put into K-14 education $7.9 billion with a B. We did not receive $7.9 billion. Fullerton is receiving $14,996,736 to be used over the next 6 years for purposes that I'll go on the next slide. So they do have some restrictions on what they can be used for. Main thing is to kind of mitigate the long-term effects of COVID. And so you can use these funds, say, to close learning gaps, providing additional academic services, pupil supports to address other barriers of learning. And then there's other things that can be done. The district has not determined how that money is going to be spent. Keep in mind, it's spread out over a 6-year period. We'll receive all the money this year, but it will be up to the district to decide how they want to spend that money. And we'll be coming back to you in the coming months as we do the first interims and other budget revisions to get the board's approval on those.
Would it be legal to spend it all in 1 year?
Yes. That's a great question. And so, yes.
So, and you said we have 6 years to be able to spend that?
Correct. So on that one, you have funds allocated based on last year. Funds may be used through the 27-28 school year. So that's actually, is that 5 years? 5, might be 6. Okay. Must report interim expenditures to the CDE by the 2024. So there'll be some reporting of this money, of how we spend it. There will be some districts that will use it all in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, or some will spread it out. But we will be presenting that to the board in the future here for board approval. The next pot of money is the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Discretionary Block Grant. They put in $3.6 billion, the state did, in one-time money. For Fullerton, that equates to $7,413,000, $7,413,448 that we had not budgeted for. Again, before this money can be spent, a plan must be brought to the board, and Ed Services will be putting that plan together and bringing that to the board for your approval in the coming months. Again, that one does not have to be spent right away. You have until the 25-26 school year.
That's pretty exciting.
It's
Very exciting. And I'm sure your staff will come up with fabulous ideas. I'm also excited for it because now we have a school that's just started its big focus on the arts, and some of this money will be really helpful for them.
Correct. And if you look at the next slide, some of the allowable uses, there is some flexibility here. So in the title, it's Arts, Musics, and Instructional Materials Discretionary Block Grant. I think the key there is discretionary. These are some of the bullets that it can be used for: COVID-19 pandemic related supplies, operational costs that the district has, putting together diverse book collections. It's pretty flexible. Okay, it's pretty flexible, and that goes with the state in kind of keeping with local control funding formula. It's outside of that. It's up to the district to decide how to spend that money, but keep in mind it's one-time money. It's one-time money. The last pot of money is the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program funding, ELOP. Last year we received approximately $3.4 million last year, and we didn't know if we were going to get more. We spent about $500,000 of it last year, so there's carryover $2.9 million. And with the passing of the budget, Fullerton is receiving an additional $6 million. Again, this is spread out. Well, this one is It's one-time money. We don't know if it's going to repeat, but that money is to be used. And looking at the next slide,
Is that where we got a lot of our funding for summer school?
that would be, yes.
Thank
Dr.
you, 'cause
Lee
we had
is
so
giving
many
an
programs.
affirmative yes. Yes, that's good.
In addition to that, or we spent this particular pot?
We have put all summer school costs in ELOP. We initially reserved some of the funding in the emergency relief funds, but we found that this budget to be more appropriate for summer school.
Thank you.
And so
Really, thank you.
So it looks like there's three, right? And all same. They all
There's-
have the same similar timelines. 25, 26. I mean, roughly.
Roughly.
Okay.
Roughly.
I'm just trying to.
I think we have some plans though to use those funds in the next again 2 years.
Okay.
2, 3 again. That will be presented in the plan.
Rob, I'm kind of throwing you a softball, you and Julian here. So, as the money, like $3.5 million for LCFF come in, there's that process. And I know sometimes we recruit for LCAP committees and parents and to be involved in those sorts of things. So that committee, that LCAP committee would be like looking at the funding, that ongoing money for that $3.5 million.
For money, it would be part of yes, because that's ongoing money. So that will be included in the pot for next year as they're planning LCAP for the following year.
Julian, is this LCAP committee important? And wouldn't it be great to have members continue on that committee to be able to look at some of the ways that funding can be used?
Absolutely. We welcome representation from the sites. We will have our dates posted on the website and blasted out to our community to let you know how you can sign up to be a part of representing your community, your school site community, as well as the district office.
So the good news is there is money that's coming in. When we look at the unrestricted money that's coming in that doesn't have a lot of strings attached to it, there's $3,563,000. Now, when the budget was adopted back in June, we at that time knew the district was going to receive about an additional $10 million, about $10 million. Also adopted in our budget was expenditures, about $8.9 million, right? Because every year we have costs that go up. We have STRS, we have pension, retirement, pension obligations that go up. We have health costs that go up. We have increases to step and column. We have, just as everyone else is experiencing inflation, things cost more for us. In the budget for next year are costs that in the past, the federal COVID dollars were covering. Well, those COVID dollars are one time. And so now it's coming back into the general fund. So it's not as if there is $13 million available to be used. Some of it has, when the budget was adopted, been spoken for, but there is some additional dollars ongoing. And then on the next slide, which we're most excited about, is this one-time funding of about an additional $28 million. That will be available for those different pots of money that I talked about. And so next steps from here, it's not a very long report. I know many of you are sad about that. I hear you cry. On the next steps, I'll be here in September. We'll approve the unaudited actuals for last year. One of the things we need to do is figure out how we close the books and kind of what was the final score of last year. And then in the coming months, Ed Services and the district will be presenting the spending plan for the arts, music, and instructional materials discretionary block grant. And then before you know it, it will be December. It will be the first interim. And then it will be the new year and we'll start all over again. So with that, are there any questions? And this will be posted on the website tomorrow. So it is available for public view.
Thank you.
Other than summer school that we just completed, have we already started dipping into the new funds?
Well, remember, we received some of the ELOP funds and from last year, and so some of those funds were used for that. Tonight's mostly about the additional $28 million that was not budgeted, and so that's good. There was $3.2 million of which last year we spent 500,000. So there's 2.9, 2.8, 2 point somewhere in there, $1 million available. It was 3.4 million. I'm sorry. So that was the 2.9. That's where I got that from.
So this is all fresh money, fresh
money,
fresh ideas.
fresh ideas. Yes.
I have a feeling they have some ideas.
One of the things I think you had talked about just in the last board meeting is, I know safety is a priority. And so some of those things, as we look at, I know fencing was brought up and there's a whole variety of different strategies. So that's one of the things that
Absolutely.
I know is important to the board, safety. And so that just one general area.
Safety things. Keeping in mind, many of the things that we're going to be proposing to the committee and the committee will present is one-time expenditures. This is one-time money. So when we talk about security fencing or things around security, those are one-time expenditures. These funds could be used for that based on the requirements.
Especially if the federal money is not coming in.
Correct. And this district did an excellent job of utilizing over the last 2 years the federal funds that came in. It was over close to $50 million to fund not only to buy masks and hand washing stations, but some actual to keep programs going and to do even some facility things with our bipolar ionization air quality that we spent that money there and it's going to continue to keep people healthy. So district did a great job using those one-time monies. Now we have the opportunity to show our skills again by using these one-time monies to benefit the district.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so we don't have to approve anything, right? Just a
There's nothing,
presentation.
that's a great question. There's nothing to approve. This is just that we just make this available.
Okay, all right, thank you. And you're staying up there because the next item is yours as well, correct?
We planned it that way, yes. So the next item is the new joint use agreement with the Fullerton School District, between Fullerton School District and City of Fullerton over some shared fields. Just a little background for those of you just tuning in. Over the last many years, we have had an arrangement with the city where we've made our fields available to after hours, after 4 o'clock and into the evenings and on the weekends to basically turn them over to the city in return. And they would then rent them out to various organizations, youth sports. In return, they shared in the cost of maintenance of those fields and watering those fields. And it was an arrangement that worked at the time. However, times have changed. And the city is not in a position to maintain those fields at a level that meets our standards. And so we began the process over a year ago, working with the city to terminate that existing agreement that ended on June 30th. And so instead of, but we still have this, just so you know, when we ended that agreement, the district took back the maintenance and the watering of those fields. We now lease those out to the various youth sports organizations at the same cost that they were paying the city. We make them available to them. And so for the user, they're not going to experience anything except some nicer fields, better maintained fields. So that is a very good thing. However, when we terminated that agreement that we had with them, the city, there are 5, nay 6 fields that kind of share, there's a property line that goes right down the middle of them. And so I'm talking about Valencia Park, I'm talking about Raymond, I'm talking about Orangethorpe, Maple, Woodcrest, and Fern Drive. If you're familiar with those sites, let's just take Valencia Park. That's an easy one. So Valencia Park, if you look at the field out there, going right down the middle, running north and south is the property line, but there's a field that is, it's on both sides. So the question is, who maintains it? If we're maintaining our own fields now, do we just do our half and the city does the other half? And that just doesn't, that's not good for the community. If you think about Fern, the way the property line runs, it runs from east to west, but there's a fence that runs north to south. And so that's now divided into quadrants. Same question. Well, we worked with the city and we came up with and that's what this agreement is about. It's about those shared fields. It's about what do we do at Maple, what do we do at Fern, what do we do at Orangethorpe, Valencia Park, Raymond, and Woodcrest. And what we came to was if it's inside the fence line, we're going to maintain that field. So think about Valencia Park. That's kind of within the fence line is where the school is, where the kids play. We will maintain that. We will water it at all of our cost. We will be responsible for renting that field out to the community. And we will then use the funds that we receive from renting it out to the community to cover the cost of the maintenance of those fields. So in a sense, the city is saying, it's our property. We're not giving you the property, but you're taking care of it. If you think, if you're familiar with Orangethorpe, there's a park there, the south portion of, I believe it's Roberta and Pacific. And so if you think over there at Orangethorpe, there's now a fence that kind of goes right in the middle of the field that runs east and west. The city will maintain that park side, which most of that is our property. We're not giving them our property. They'll maintain, they'll water that. We'll take care of inside the fence line. They'll take care of that. And it goes on down. And so this agreement, while it looks very long and very verbose here, it just spells out kind of the transition that's happening and who's responsible for what. It's an agreement that can be terminated at any time. So if the city says we want to terminate it, then there's guidelines here. It will automatically renew each year unless somebody comes forward and says, we don't want to do this anymore. But this is it's a great agreement for the city. It's a great agreement for our kids and Fullerton, and we're looking forward to it. And so you tonight are approving this agreement. If the city council is going to approve it, I believe it's next week, the same agreement. And we go from there. Now you ask yourself, well, wait, this terminated on June 30th. What have we been doing? We're still going to we've been maintaining our fields and we've been watering them, but this makes it official.
And just to add in, there's a bit of a transition too. So I just talked with Scott, the director of facilities today, and he said they just hired, it's gone through a fairly long process, but just hired new landscape and new landscape folks to work and to mow and do those sorts of things. So that's going to take a little bit of time here the next month to kind of transition over to the new agreement. Even though we've started to do it from a practical level, we won't see the impact until we have those people in there working. And so, but a little shout out to Paul for his work to get them hired, and thank you for taking us through that process.
And we've been talking about this for over a year. So some people may say, why didn't you do this a year ago? It took us over 6 months just to get the machinery, the equipment, the additional equipment we needed because of supply chain issues. And so we ordered that months ago and it actually came in just a little bit ago. So that's correct. And I also want to add, for those of you who are watching in, you're thinking, if you're community members and you're saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, before the city was running those fields and I used to go on those fields at night, and now that the school district has it, am I going to be able to go on those fields at night? And the answer to that is absolutely yes, right? Same process. Just as you would go on those fields before, you would get a permit with the city. You go through our website, through Facilitron, and if you're a sports organization and youth sports or any organization, there's a process that you go through. Schools are still open. We want people to, we want moms and their kids and dads and their kids to go on, and there's a basketball court, play around the world and all that stuff. We want you to do that. We want you to do that in the afternoons and on the weekends. So we are not denying access to individuals going on the fields. If it's an organized sports, we ask that they go through a process because that's a little bit more involved. But you want to go out and play Frisbee. Does anybody play Frisbee anymore?
Yeah.
We want
There's
you
a
to
whole
go.
league now.
There's a Frisbee league, and I'm not going to tell anybody to go fly a kite because that could be taken wrong. So I took it wrong when Dr. Bob told me to go fly a kite. No, he didn't tell me to go fly.
One last thing. During the transition, we've been working with the different sports groups. And again, I want to thank Scott and Rob. They've had several meetings with different sports leagues about the process, hearing their concerns, their suggestions, their ideas. So we'll be putting those in place. If there are other organizations that are just hearing about it, please connect up with us and we'll talk to you and help you through the process. At this point, our goal is to make it available like it has been in the past to different organizations.
Anybody else?
I want to thank you, Rob, for sharing that the public can still utilize those fields and spaces to build community, to come together, Frisbee, whatever it may be, soccer.
And the fees are the same because the city charges fees for the city field. We're not charging any more. We're not charging any less. As part of this agreement, we adopt the fee schedule that they're adopting.
And there's also going to be a process, right, for the public to be able to access where there is typically some fencing or gates.
Yes, because we do have some schools that are, and so we're working on that process to give them access.
Perfect. Awesome.
I'd like to move to accept the new CDF joint use agreement with the city.
Second.
Okay, it's been approved and seconded that we approve the new joint use agreement with the Fullerton School District and City of Fullerton for use of maintenance of district-owned grounds and city park facilities for 2022 and 2023. All right, any other comments or anything? Thank you for your presentation. We appreciate that. It's great to be transparent so that everyone knows what we're doing.
Right, thank you.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, thank you. All right. The next item is administrative reports. Dr. Hammett?
Yes, good evening. I have 4 administrative reports, which are first readings on board policy updates. So our first board item this evening, our board policy, is Board Policy 6173, which relates to students who are facing homelessness. And there has been a lot of changes to legislation and a lot of focus on students experiencing homeless, especially due to LCFF, and that becoming a qualifying criteria for additional funding for the district. So you'll see as you review that, there's quite a few changes that are being recommended to us by CSBA due to changes in law. And if you have any comments or anything else you'd like to see changed or added, please let us know. Our second item is Board Policy 6158, which deals with independent study. As you know, due to the pandemic, independent study has changed radically. I'll leave it that way because it really has changed radically over the last 2 years. So as part of this year's budgeting process and budget trailer bills, independent study has yet once again changed. And the changes to this board policy reflect what those newest changes are in the independent study process. Moving right along for your viewing and listening excitement, I have Board Policy 6020, which is about parent involvement. And this board policy has changes made that also reflect changes to not only state but federal legislation, requirements around parent involvement, and how we involve parents from different groups, different stakeholder groups, different groups of parents across our district. So you'll see there's quite a few changes as well in that policy. And again, if you see anything that you'd like more information on or that you'd like to see changed a little further, please contact us. And fourth one this evening is our first read of Board Policy 6174, Education for English Learners. Again, the legislation, the education code, the laws around English learners have changed, and these changes are reflected in this board policy. And this is for the first reading, and we would ask if you see anything to let us know. We are intending on bringing all 4 of these policies back to the board for your consideration at our next board meeting.
I have a question about 6174. On all the others so far, we have strikeouts and we have bold where the changes have been made, so it's easy for us to identify what has been changed. In 6174, there doesn't seem to be that, so it would be helpful to know. Thank you.
Yes, we'll send it to you, absolutely.
Because it looks to me as
It
a
looks
new
like
one
the
that's not
wrong
new.
version was uploaded, so we will make sure to get that out to you. We'll get that emailed out tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So we'll read these and come back to you with other comments and be ready for a discussion and action at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Hammett? Okay. Seeing none, then we'll move on to our next item, which is board members' request for future agenda items. I actually had an item that I was just going to bring up to see if I know that as we go through our budget and our numbers with our influx of numbers, and there is a spot now for approving our spending for arts, music, and instructional, our discretionary block, a grant, that it sounds like we're going to have a presentation on arts. I had made myself a note with Prop 28 possibly being passed in the election, which then allocates money that we must use or that the state is going to give us specifically for arts. I thought it would be interesting to have a presentation or information to our board, which might make sense to do it at the same time as you bring this presentation on what is our art plan, and hearing one of our parents tonight talk about the lack of music or the lack of art in the classroom. I know that we have arts and I know that we have things that are going on. So I think that it's a good time, how we have all the arts for all the kids. We've got our other art programs. I would love to see something compiled on just to present to us what we're doing right now in our schools with arts and where we're going. So is that okay with other board members? Okay.
Sounds good.
And it doesn't have to be at the next meeting, but if could be somewhere in there, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Can I maybe just consider adding to that? I haven't even thought about all the propositions. If there are any others that are education related, maybe.
I think Prop 28 is the big one.
Is that the only one?
As a proposition, I believe so.
Okay, great.
I could be
I
wrong.
have an interest that after school opens, we can have a report. It doesn't have to be a board report. It can be just a communique on our intra and our inter-district transfers so that we understand where the numbers are coming from. And also the total numbers at every school, how they compare with what they had over the last 2 years. Because we keep having these 300 plus student drops, and I would like to be informed as to where our community is declining in enrollment.
So a report of enrollment at school level, district level, includes transfers.
In and out.
And I think in the past you've even reported back each school grade level what it looks like.
What is that one day that you get the total?
Data day.
There's
October.
no
Oh,
word
you're
for that.
talking October something, where they sit in
Yeah.
their seat?
Yeah.
It's always nice to see where your combo
Because that
classes are, where
that
everything
that
is.
will be real accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you'll provide us with that
He
information
knows the
just
name.
informally as we move along. Okay, as school starts. Okay, all right. Anything else? All right. Seeing none, where's my Anderson? Is he gone? Oh darn! I was gonna. Yeah, he really wanted to know what I did with his gavel, and I was like, "If you're watching, meeting adjourned."